So tell us about some of the collaboration and teamwork that was developed on the peninsula, the companies, how they worked here in Silicon Valley.
Yeah, well, Paul, you touched on some of that. I think, the culture was a sharing culture rather than I've got mine and you're on your own. But I think there were other factors. I think the Stanford involvement with industry, not just educating people, not just helping with technology, but taking a part in the formation of companies. I mean, Terman was on Varian's board, I believe, as was Packard. Terman helped get funding for Watkins Johnson startup. Introduced them to the company that funded them. So that kind of stuff was going on here. I think the whole culture was quite different than the East. The other thing was the Eastern companies in the tube business started with receiving tubes, and they were really good at making that. But it turns out that's probably not the right way to make microwave tubes. So they had the wrong starting point. I think they had more bureaucracy in the West. The companies didn't have bureaucracy. They didn't have any false constraints. They didn't have much money. That had to be created.
Yeah, and they were more unionized on the East Coast, not likely out here.
Right, right. Yeah, I remember taking a traveling wave tube to Sperry to do a test, and set up, but then they decided, we're in the wrong place. So we used a different test setup. So we hooked the tube. I picked it up. He said, "Wait a minute, you can't do that. Only technicians are qualified to move tubes at Sperry."
It's a very different story from what you'd have out here. It's people getting together. So talk about some of the advantages of Silicon Valley. What kind of things do you see here that made this more of a successful entrepreneurial area?
Well, the weather I mentioned.
Yeah, the weather works.
I think it starts with people. I think because the companies in this area were successful in that crucial time frame, that the people ended up with a better skill set than in the ones in the East Coast. And then there's a number of technological things, cleanliness, precision, vacuum, stuff like that. Those are the things that come to mind.
Yeah, so a lot of the developments did happen here from the teamwork, the technology, having the key people, and so on. It was an exciting period to work here.
Right.
And that leads up to our next era. I want to mention, if this has generated some questions in your mind, be sure to write them on a piece of paper. Brian will wander around and pick those up once in a while, and we'll do that again a little later.